We are back inside City Hall talking with the four members of our Reporters Roundtable, Bridget Bergen, Greg Birnbaum, Laura Namias, and Colby Hamilton. And folks, there's something going on here. It seems pretty out there. I don't know which of you is going to report it in a big way, but the Governor Cuomo is really going after Mayor de Blasio and outmaneuvering him at every turn. And this, to me, sounded, I mean, what he talked about on the radio today on your station was really like almost a declaration of war. Let me play just a little section of it, then we'll talk about it. Let's listen in.
I know the tale of two cities. The answer to the tale of two cities is not to create two states, right? The answer to inequity and inequality is not to create more inequity and inequality. And I'm not going to leave behind the children in any part of this state. That is not going to happen. And nobody should want it to happen. So we want a statewide pre-K system.
So, I mean, the mayor's main initiative, quote, that is not going to happen.
I thought it was fascinating, one, that Cuomo took a dig at de Blasio during that segment, also sort of reclaiming that Tale of Two Cities narrative from when his father used it at a speech at the 1984 Democratic Convention. But on top of that, I think, you know, this week I'm sure I am not the only one at this table who got press releases from the mayor of Niagara Falls and the mayor of Newburgh, and I haven't had a lot of press releases from them in the past.
The Ulster County executive.
Yeah,
I don't know how he reached me, but yeah.
Talking about how important it was to support universal pre-K across the state, that poor kids in their cities and localities were just as important as New York City. On that, I would say, I think Mayor de Blasio could claim some victory in that, because there is now some consensus across the state that there should be universal pre-K, and now it's all a question of how do we pay for it. Now, you know, maybe the end game for the de Blasio administration all along was just to achieve pre-K.
Well, but we've had pre-K in the state for almost 2 decades now. It started in Pataki, right? We had universal pre-K announced, and the state has routinely not actually funded it. I mean, if anything, de Blasio has been able to move the marker forward and say, okay, this conversation has to continue. We need to start making serious inroads about this. But I think it's interesting. He's gone so far to say that the only way that there can be victory is if we have this tax increase and we do it our way. That's the only way there can be victory.
The logic of the governor's argument is more powerful right now than the mayor's argument, and I think that's what's going to win the day. This is shown by the polling on it, so I agree, but you know, Mayor de Blasio can declare victory here if universal pre-K is expanded. Just slide over to Cuomo's position, declare victory. You really want to come back with an almost punitive tax on the wealthy of New York. Maybe try that next year after the governor's re-election is over, and you might be able to make a case for it.
The thing about knuckling under to the governor is it usually doesn't happen as a one-off kind of a thing. It sort of sets the tone for what we might likely see for the next 4 years. I want to look at some things that are happening next week. Bridget Bergen, Vision Zero, no pedestrian deaths in New York. The mayor says that's what he wants.
Yeah, and when the mayor announced that last month, he talked about how he would put together this interagency working group, and he gave them until tomorrow, February 15th, to come back with some recommendations. So we'll be looking at what those recommendations are. How are they going to actually, you know, reduce dangerous driving habits, and who's going to be responsible for enforcement?
Okay, due on the holiday weekend. I'll be waiting for it. Laura, the Medicaid waiver, an unexpected, what, $8 billion now for New York hospitals?
Yes, that's $2 billion less than the state had originally sought, and both Mayor de Blasio and the governor had said, I think almost misleadingly, that this money could be used to save Brooklyn hospitals. And what's unclear from the broad outline of an agreement that was reached yesterday, it's not final, is whether or not any Brooklyn hospitals that are currently in financial distress can be saved in their current form. And so we'll be looking at, over the next couple of days, how those hospitals are going to have to change in order to meet the standards to receive that money.
Very good. We'll be watching along with you. Greg Birnbaum. Late-night comedy is no joke when it comes to politics.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that some folks at this table are going to be covering important, serious issues. I'm going the other direction. I'm going to take a look at the entertainment. Jimmy Fallon kicks off his show Monday, new era in late-night comedy, and Michelle Obama appearing on the show on Thursday. I want to take a look and see how she does and see how Fallon does. It'll be interesting merger of politics and a new era in late-night TV.
And Colby Hamilton with the pre-kindergarten watch.
Oh, it doesn't stop, right? I mean, this was a terrible week for de Blasio, arguably. Let's see how they respond. What are they going to roll out? Are they going to change their approach at all? And all the folks that are in Albany, you know, they're the ones that ultimately have to make a decision about this, so they're going to continue to be engaged, and we're going to take a look at what that means.
The Black and Puerto Rican Caucus meets this weekend, and it's an election year, so the governor might actually show up, right?
Well, that's what you know, the governor is very sensitive to the issues in the Black and Latino community. It'll be interesting to see they're so supportive of this proposal if they choose to push him on this at all, and if there's any rhetoric that comes out of this weekend, trying to get him to soften maybe a little bit of his stance.
Okay, that's going to be the last word. Good to see you, Colby. Good to see you, Laura. Greg, thanks for coming by.